We still do 7 NUFC Matters show a week for free. But if you want to help support NUFC Matters, then there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast and video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications bell so you don't miss a single show. If you want to help us financially, then you can join the channel using this button with the membership starting at $1.99 a month. Or you can drop us a donation in the chat using a super sticker. We're also looking for sponsors. If you'd like your brand advertised on the flyers for the show and featured during the ad break, then email John at nufcmatters.com to arrange today.
Attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again, but it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true.
Good afternoon, welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Ray. Talking to Toon with me and Sid. Rob will be joining us halfway through. Afternoon, Sid.
How are you doing?
Yep, good mate. You?
Well, I've just been up and down the stairs during the start there, and someone's at the door and back up again. I'm bloody napping already.
I didn't notice that. You should have used the teleport system, mate. Like,
well, it is. Yes, there you go.
Blake 7. See, I'm not the only person who likes that classic 70s and 80s science fiction series from BBC One. Absolutely top class. I've often thought about doing a podcast about it, to be honest, and reviewing them all, but I think there'd only be you watching it, to be honest. Maybe one or two others.
There's a few nerds.
Yeah. There is definitely. I've even actually booked onto one of those. Finally got round to a date where they're doing like a get together down south. It's always somewhere like Midsummer Murders territory, like completely out the way where you've got to get 3 trains to get there. But I finally managed to get booked onto one later this year with Callie Jan Chapel.
Oh right, yes.
So I'm looking forward to that. I've never been to one before, so yeah, and I'm on one of these forums which they update us and they're all looking forward to seeing us. So it should be good. Anyway, I digress. I'm not going to take up any more time talking about Blake 7. Newcastle United, we will look ahead to the Blackburn game in the second half of the show. But let's talk about the game against Arsenal. And yes, we've got to, Sid. It was a game which I still genuinely thought we had a chance of getting something out of. And people are saying, well, you predicting people on the Amigo show predicting a win and predicting a draw, and you are crazy to even think that. Well, it's all very well with hindsight after the game's gone, but our form suggested that despite us conceding goals left, right, and centre, we were scoring goals and we were unbeaten. We've gone on another little mini run. Players were coming back. We had the chance of Isak and Willock coming back in as well. I don't think it was misplaced confidence. I don't think it was misplaced optimism. And I think if the lads had actually bothered to turn up and put a shift in, we could have got something out of the game. But that was the disappointing thing for everybody, including Eddie Howe, who's come out and had a pop at his players, and rightly so. There was just a distinct lack of effort, Sid, at that game at the weekend.
Yeah, I think it's possibly the first time we've watched an Eddie Howe team where there seemed to be no effort. They went out. I don't know about you, but I knew after 2 minutes that they were going to get absolutely tonked. I think we were really lucky to come away with 4 against. I remember texting my mate after about 2 minutes saying, we've got to keep this down to 5, and we hadn't conceded at that point, but it was as clear as day. There was zero confidence. They just went in with a loser's mentality. That's my impression. They went in there, they were beaten before they went on the pitch, and there was zero or very little effort, let's put it that way. I'm not going to say that they didn't try, because I don't think that's right, but the efforts could have been far better, I think is a better way of phrasing what I've said. I think they could have put a lot more into it. There's just casually running around. There was real no high press. I mean, last year and the half season before, we were all built on the high press. that seems to have vanished. Arsenal outpressed us within a minute or so. It was just constantly bang, 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 straight on. The players must have known what was going to happen. I mean, Arteta's harped on for months about the fact that we beat them at our ground over that decision, which he still whines on about. And so we knew that the whole crowd was going to be up to it. I spoke to a friend and he's a big Arsenal fan, and he said all the fans were massively up for that game, which is a weird rivalry because there's never been a rivalry with Arsenal ever. And then, so they were all up for it, all this sort of let's get revenge on Newcastle. So you knew the crowd were going to be loud, and they were actually quite loud for Arsenal. It was actually very loud on the TV. But Newcastle went in, they were intimidated, they were beaten before the game. And that's so disappointing. You see it on occasions, you know, and there's been games when you feel that they've been beaten before the game or that they have an inferiority complex. And if that's the case, those players need replacing in the long term. You can't be doing with that. You just can't be doing that. We should be going on the front foot, and we should have a sense of either superiority or nobody's going to beat. We're going to show them. And there was none of that whatsoever. There was none of that whatsoever. It was one of the most disappointing performances I've seen in ages. I can excuse many things, but I can't excuse people chasing and harrying down. That's the least you can do as a professional footballer. One of the other shows, I was listening to some podcast, and they were harping on about, some of the players are a bit tired. We're a load of old pony. We're absolute rubbish. You know, we've had the same midfield without a doubt from December onwards, and it's not been great. But nobody can tell me some of these players are tired. You know, we're now playing one game a week. Yes, of course, we're playing 2 this week, but generally 1 game a week. We had a 2-week break, which people haven't mentioned. I don't get it. What's going on in training is the big question. If we've got all this time now that we're supposed to be better and we're supposed to be training and we're supposed to be, we're supposed to be instilling various things in terms of organising the defence and what we're going to do in the midfield, and it seems to be getting worse. I don't know what your thoughts are with regards to that.
The midfield for me is where the problem is, Sid. I genuinely think that the midfield is a big issue at the moment, and it's going to get better because we've got players coming back. But I genuinely felt at the weekend that, Lewis Miley's struggling a little bit now, and he will be because he's developing. He's a young player. Yeah. He's developing. He's been thrown in at the deep end, and he's done fantastically well, and he's deserved all the plaudits. But at the moment, I think he's struggling a little bit. Possibly because Longstaff's not putting great shift in. Is Longstaff carrying an injury? Is Longstaff not 100% and has been asked just to play through the pain barrier until players are available that he can take a rest? Possibly, but Longstaff, we haven't seen the best of him for a couple of weeks. And Bruno's sitting on this suspension where I genuinely think that, maybe he's been told, don't dive in for now until we've got some players coming back. So, he's not putting a challenge in. So, I think the back four's been hammered and pillared, hammered from pillar to post by critics. But in the grand scheme of things, the midfield's not doing the job. So let's face it, it's a collective effort. Eddie will always say it's a team effort. It's a collective effort. For the last few weeks, people have been banging on about play Tino, drop Dan Burn. Dan Burn's the one to blame. Everything's coming down the left-hand side. Dan Burn needs a rest. Last week, I succumbed to that. I thought, look, after the Bournemouth game, there was another error there. There was a Dubravka error. There was a Dan Burn error. I thought, against Arsenal, it is a free hit. We don't like using that expression, do we? Because, we think we're probably better than we actually are. But it was a free hit. You go to Arsenal, if you get something out of it, it's not expected. If you get something out of it, happy days. But generally, probably most people thought would go there and get nothing. I was the polar opposite. For some bizarre reason, I just had a feeling Newcastle could get a win down there. And I still think if we'd put the effort in, we could have got something out of the game at the weekend. But we just didn't. We didn't put the effort in, and that's the biggest disappointment for me at the weekend. Let's talk about the changes. Let's talk about the left back situation first and foremost. Dan Burn was indeed dropped, sidelined, came on, and of course, changed the game. You know, set up Joe Willock's goal, cleared one off the line. I mean,
it was a great pass, ironically, wasn't it? Lovely little floated ball, but what a header! Fabulous.
He had an outstanding run out at the Arsenal, which isn't that always the way. Tino came in. I don't think he had a bad game, but I don't think he was outstanding.
Yeah, he got done for the goal. You know, let's be straight about it. I've said on here I would have dropped down Burn, although I would have changed formation and had 5 at the back. You know, for me that's the biggest problem. Now is the time where Eddie Howe is going to be judged, because he's been in terms of where he is next year, because he's been fantastic so far. Yeah. You know, he's been brilliant. Hey, you cannot knock him. What he's done is absolutely incredible. I don't buy all of this, you know, we've sort of overachieved business. I don't, because if you look at the 6 months from the January to the summer before the great season last year, on the form guide, we were in the top 4. That's 6 months we were in the top 4. And then the whole of last season, we were in the top 4. So that's 18 months of the club being in the top 4. Don't get us wrong, the injuries have absolutely, you know, killed us this year. There's no doubt about it. But now we're in a situation where you can't really blame the injuries too much now. Yes, you could have done December and into a little bit of January, but you can't keep going on about it now. Of the first team, who's really not in this as a natural starter? You've got Joe Linton, you've got the keeper, who's a massive difference. So you've got those 2 players, and you could argue another midfielder. I mean, yeah. I would have Willock in, or I'd have Anderson above Sean Longstaff all day long. And I like Sean Longstaff, but he's not the answer for me. And yeah, also okay, you got the injury issues, but we should still be doing way better than we are. We should be doing way better. And if we're conceding goal after goal after goal, we're bottom of the league, I believe, in terms of goals conceded since December. I think before December we were joint top in terms of goals conceded. We're now bottom. What the hell's going on? So, and that was the Nick Pope, up to the Nick Pope injury. So there's clearly a correlation there. But we also can see the fact that if you're the manager and you can't see that, what are you going to do to rectify that problem? It is your job to sort that out. And this is where he gets paid now to sort things out and turn things around, because an elite manager sorts this out. This wouldn't be, I'm sure Klopp would have done something. He would have changed the formation. Pep would have changed the formation. Howe's done it on occasions in terms of flipping during the game. Saturday was a perfect opportunity for me to go 5 at the back and just make it really tight and horrible and niggly, you know, and make them really have to fight to win. Within two minutes, as I said before, they were pinging the ball around. Our team was just running back and forth, doing very little, and it was very, very easy and very, very comfortable.
What's Stephen saying there? Do you not think that Howe didn't play 5 at the back just to prove a point? Well,
that's poor management if that's the case. You know, that's poor management if that's the case. You go with what you think's right for the club and for the team, not just because you want a point score. I'm not sure that Eddie Howe's that sort of manager, but a lot of managers are very stubborn in terms of their formation. But if you're going to be a top elite manager, you've got to change your formation on a regular basis. And if our form continues to be poor, I think and yes, people go over 7th or 8th or whatever, that's great. But if the form continues to dip, then come the end of the season, you know, and I would hate to see him go, but if he does and the form's still terrible, he's not got much, you know, you can't really harp on too much about it. They should have backed him without a doubt in the January. And personally, I would like to see him here for the next 5 years. Let me just put that out there. I'm certainly not asking for Eddie Howe to go. But what I am asking to see is for him to turn things around and change the situation. Because if he doesn't, his job will be looked at. I'll be amazed if it's not. And if you're the owner, you're not doing your job properly. If you're not looking at the form and you're not looking at why is it not flipped round, you know, the fixtures are pretty kind to us. So there's a real opportunity for us to do all right and get back into Europe next year. It's all down to the management now, as far as I'm concerned. So We shall see. I know it's not very popular because you get the happy clappers out there. Say, oh, you can't see anything. You know, this, that, and the other. And that's not the case at all. You're allowed to be able to be critical.
Yeah.
And slag off the ownership or the manager, which is not what we're doing. We're asking him to sort of prove himself and sort of, that's what he's getting paid for.
Yeah, I mean, I think we pride ourselves on this channel of being the critical friend. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a constructive conversation about whether you think, tactics are right or whether, whether you think that, the manager has reached the end of the line. And as you say, it's not what we're saying. But ultimately, from our perspective, I think we genuinely feel that, we can see the stats. Newcastle aren't playing well. The fifth bottom in the form table. We're conceding goals like they're going out of fashion. And, there's nothing wrong at all with being the critical friend and having an opinion. But I think it's when it starts getting out of control, on social media, that gives a warped view of what Newcastle fans probably think. I always say to the people in the media, don't write a lazy story, by picking something up off X. Go down the pub on a match day. Yeah. Get yourself into one of the boozers around Blackburn tonight. Go and ask people what to think. Yep. Go and speak to them. And might cost you a couple of quid to get yourself over there in petrol or whatever. And if you're going to Newcastle on a match day, but you far rather have an honest opinion rather than the lazy stuff that you see on X, which generally tends to be someone who either doesn't support the club, someone who supports one of our rivals, or somebody who's just on a wind up. So that's it. And I mean, I think you make a valid point about the formation. Tom's asking here, do you think the 4-3-3 formation is working and could Howe not change it round? Well, of course you could change it round. But you made the point about managers. You didn't say how. You said managers can be stubborn. And I think when you listen to Eddie's press conferences, match after match, and people say, have you thought about playing 5 at the back? Have you thought about doing this? He always says no, because he's happy with the formation. And he clearly doesn't think that the formation is the issue. He thinks that if everyone is up to scratch, everyone's as Eddie Howe fit. He obviously feels that the players are capable of doing the job that they did last season. He clearly sees it on the training ground, Sid.
Well, I always go back to Bobby Robson in terms of the 1990 World Cup. When up to that point, I'm pretty sure we were 4-4-2 every game. And then he changed it in the World Cup because he felt that we weren't utilising the centre-halves properly and we could have been a bit more on the front foot. He changed it after about 3 games. And we suddenly, I think we went to like 3-5-2 or something like that. But he changed the formation. You've got to be able to do that. You've got to be able to adapt. I mean, look at Pep. He changed. I mean, don't get me wrong. Howe does change the formation during games and occasions. But Guardiola does it, and he's the benchmark. He does it all the time. In certain games, you'll see the players suddenly moving all over the park. It's like the old Dutch football from the 70s. They all suddenly interchange positions, and you suddenly go from 4 at the back to 2 at the back, and 5 or 6 in the middle. And we need to be a lot more fluid. We need to be able to see a formation change. I think we should just have been far nastier against Arsenal in the middle of the park, made it really, really tough for them, and there was none of that whatsoever. And as you're saying, we can all see that Longstaff's been awful all season for me. He's banging goals in bizarrely, but he's been terrible. And Miley, he looks tired, in terms of
tired's the word.
He's a young kid. He needs to step out. I'm not sure he can play that many games at that age and drop them in and out and build them up over time. So we need change. And if he thinks he's struggling, then change it up a little bit. He could have maybe put Kraft in as a sort of holding midfielder or Livramento or whoever. Hall. We're not going to go into the whole argument, but you've got there were other players that he could have played there, and he's not playing them, and you've got to wonder why. Or if we keep getting beat the same way every time, where they're just running through the middle of the line, the centre midfield, run right through the middle. We can all see it. Then change it. I don't understand. I don't understand what's going on. And yes, some of the players, there's a massive drop in form with some of them. It's quite alarming. I mean, we've all talked about Botman. I mean, Botman's drop is incredible. I mean,
do you think he needs another operation, Sid? Because if you remember when he came back from injury, he sat on that NUFC TV interview and basically said that there'd been an issue with his recuperation, his recovery, and Next thing you know, the physio is out of a job. He's replaced.
Yeah.
I've Eddie Howe at a press conference saying that it's a collective responsibility and that there'd been issues within the gym, but didn't speculate on what that could have been. You know, it could be weights, could have been, could it have been some
an ACL tear, because I've had a double ACL when I was 18 and basically knackered after that.
So you know yourself what it means.
Well, I know.
When you get that, it's psychological.
Yeah, oh, without a doubt. When I first started playing football again, which was about 10 years later, where at work after school you come go in and play football with the staff, and like I was very conscious of doing a tackle. Very, very quite. I'll be honest. I was openly honest about this. I was scared. In case my knee went again, and I knew I'd be bedridden for 2 or 3 weeks, maybe. And you get scared. There's no doubt about it. You get scared, So I would be amazed to think otherwise. I can't get my head around that you've got an ACL and you can play 2 games of football with it. I cannot understand that. I think that's almost borderline impossible. Mm-hmm. It's up there with Stuart Pearce having a broken leg and walking off the pitch. Yeah. It's like, wow. I can't understand it. He's been a shadow of his former self because he used to read the game really well. He's never been quick. He's been found out now in terms of his pace. And that's maybe the reason he's not been quick. Maybe explains why none of the other big clubs bought him.
Maybe.
Everyone's giving it the whole, he's world class, he's Rolls Royce. He isn't world class. I don't think Newcastle have a world class footballer at the moment. Bruno could be if he was a couple of yards quicker. But the last world class player Newcastle had was probably Nobby Solano, if I'm being perfectly honest. And when I look at world class, I think, would they go into a world 22? That's the way I look at it. That's the way I define world class. Not all the very, very good footballers, which these are very, very good footballers. Isak could potentially be there in a bit of time. But the rest, I'm not sure, is my honest opinion. For me, they need to look at it very, very carefully. He probably does need an operation. And if he doesn't, then he may need a lot longer to recuperate. I mean, Van Dijk was apparently quoted as saying it took him a whole season to recover from that challenge from Jordan Pickford, a season and a bit.
Yeah. Before
he felt he got his pace back, before he felt his confidence come back. And there's a big strapping centre-half who's got everything. And if you could argue one of the ultimate centre-halves, if he's saying it's taken a year and a half for him to get back to his form, then you would say exactly the same with regards to Botman. It doesn't come back that quick.
Yeah, I think that if there is an operation needed, should the worst happen and we go out to the FA Cup, he should look at getting it done if that's what's needed. But it certainly, to me, looks as if that's the case. As I say, it's hypothetical. It's an opinion.
It is, because I wouldn't like to prejudge the physios there. I mean, they did get rid of one. But the fact that they've got others in there, I'd be amazed if he needed another operation, if I'm being honest, because he will be going up to the hospital. He'll be getting all the scans, all the checks. I mean, this is a multi-million-pound industry. He'll be getting everything we're unable to go and get. So I'll be very surprised if they've not done everything to make sure that he's okay. But there are times when you think, well, we can give it 3 months and see how you get it by with certain injuries, and then you end up having to do an operation. So it may be one of those. We don't know.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. We do feel though that he's not playing, to the standards that we would expect. So we will wait and see. Goalkeeper situation as well. Dubravka took ill prior to the game at the weekend, and Karius came in. I don't think he did too badly, and I've got to
man of the match.
I've got to agree with a lot of people saying that his distribution was better than Dubravka's. He certainly knows how to kick a ball.
Actually, it's one thing I don't mind Dubravka. I think his kicking's pretty decent. They're both miles better than Pope were kicking, but Pope's infinitely a better keeper than both. But I thought he did really well. He was my man of the match, and he would be starting, and Dubravka would be my third choice goalkeeper at the moment. I thought he did really, really well. He looked quite confident. I love the fact he's coming out and catching the ball. Dubravka doesn't come off his line. Just doesn't come off his line, and he came off his line a couple of times and did some really good catches at corners. It's not his fault that some of the team couldn't defend the corners and the set pieces. I thought he had a very, very good game. I know somebody blamed him for one of the goals. I thought it was harsh, if I'm being honest. I thought, really? There's not a lot you could do about any of them, and he did a couple of good saves. So, yeah, good. Get impressed by him. That was a plus, and obviously Willock was a major plus out of an atrocious game. I've got no other positive comments to say about that game. No other positive comments to say about that game. I was amazed at some of the great marks that some of the players were getting in the Chronicle. It's just laughable, absolutely laughable.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's going to be an interesting end of the season, that's for certain. We've got to keep our season alive tonight. We'll come to the Blackburn game later on, but yeah, we've got to keep our season alive. But you know, we've only now got to play Manchester United and Tottenham. The rest of the teams are around us and below us. So, you know, it's in our. The main thing is it's in our hands, Sid.
It is. It's in our hands to come 7th, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree.
And do that, then you'll get into the Europa League. As we've said time and time again, I'm no interested in the Conference League. It's the fans might love it and go into all these far away flung places in the middle of nowhere, and that's great, but I won't be attending any of those games. And if you win it, I genuinely couldn't care. It's just the Intertoto with a posh name, and I keep saying that, and I'm going to stick to it. I
agree with you, mate.
Genuinely don't care, and I see it as a waste of time, and I see the players getting tired, and I would be playing whatever second string that we ever have in those competitions, because it's going to bring virtually no revenue. I mean, people saying, "Oh, it'll bring players for the Europe." Really?
No.
Would you want to because you're going to play in that crummy competition?
No,
I don't see it.
No, you're not going to get Mbappe wanting to play in the Conference League, mate.
If you can get Bruno when you basically look like you're going to get relegated, then you're going to get good players, irrespective of where we end up. I mean, I still expect us to be top 10. But it's whereabouts we're going to be. We could end up 7th. We could end up 10th or 11th. It all depends on the players themselves. And in terms
I love the fact that when I said Mbappe is not going to come and play in the Conference League, you didn't pull us up on it, mate.
No, because it's not. We know it's not going to happen, man. As much as we would like it to happen, it may well have happened if we didn't have financial fair play. I have no doubt that
you can stick your FFP up your backside.
I have no doubt that the owners will be going Hollywood.
You get 10-point reduction and then it gets reduced to 6. You might as well take the hit.
Yeah, I mean, it's farcical, isn't it? I mean, Everton. I have very little time for Everton, I have to say. Of all the teams, they're the team I dislike the most in the Premier League. Just for an experience being, anyway, the fans awful. But it's just, no, I don't understand it. I genuinely don't understand it. They'll get another 5 or 6 points with the next FFP thing, along with Forest, because Forest's up before Everton, which I don't understand why there's a disparity in terms of both teams should be at the same day, really. They should get the same punishment if it's virtually the same thing. Yeah. And yet, ironically, I think they'll both stay up because the bottom 3 are so bad.
Well, it could be interesting to see whether Leicester decide to take legal action, because had these points that Everton had deducted and then reinstated, had those points come off at the time that they should have come off, Leicester would have stayed up and Everton would have gone down.
They would, but then there may be a situation where they just pay them some money as a form of appeasement.
Well, it's just ridiculous. The whole thing's daft. We're going into the ads anyway. A couple of comments here. Billy, I love this one. He goes, I hope we can find the 4,000 holes in Blackburn Lancashire's defence tonight, lads.
Yeah, nice Beatles reference. Very good.
And Yano, I think Yano needs glasses, Sid. He goes, is it just me? Take away the glasses and Sid could be Pardew's love child.
If Pardew was brown, maybe that might be the case. But
And Stephen's got his shopping list already. We need a goalkeeper, a left back, a centre back, a centre midfielder, a right winger, and a centre forward. All apart from the goalkeeper need to be potential first 11 starters.
Well, wow. Stephen, I've got written here virtually the same. I had goalkeeper, left back, 2 centre halves, holding midfielder, attacking midfielder, right wing, centre forward. So,
and a partridge in a pear tree.
Apart from that, we're absolutely fine.
Here's the ads. A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. Go to their website, skipsandbins.com, email inquiries at skipsandbins.com, or telephone 0800 25 45 25 3, easy contract free and pay as you go waste collection. Thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. Go to their website, mrvickies.co.uk, email info@mrvickies.co.uk, or telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to United Group Travel. Go to their website, unitedgrouptravel.com, email info@unitedgrouptravel.com, or phone 01670 632 460, or mobile 0791 666 4174. They're a local company from Morpeth, and there are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. Big thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the video side of things. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, hit the subscribe button under the video. Click the thumb up to like the video and click share to share to your social media. If you want to help the channel financially, you can pay a one-off £25 fee. You get a cup, a scarf, a pen and a membership card and entry into the NUFC Matters monthly draw. Email john@nufcmatters.com for more details, or if you've got a smartphone, scan the QR code now and it takes you straight to the membership pack. We also support the food bank on this channel. Go to nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk and you'll find the matchday bucket. You can make a donation virtually today. You can also find us on iTunes, Spotify and other podcast providers. We also do events during the year. NUFC Matters Live will be at the O2 City Hall on Friday the 2nd of August for an evening with Rob Lee, one night in Antwerp. Tickets start at £15 and you can get them from ticketmaster.co.uk. An evening with the entertainers takes place on Friday the 24th of January 2025 at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House in Newcastle. Telephone 0844 249 1000 or visit the website tynetheatreandoperahouse.uk to buy tickets today. You can also catch me on the North East Footy Breakfast Show live on Toon Radio weekdays 7 till 9 a.m. on DAB, smart speakers and the toonuk.com. And it's time for a musical interlude, so it's welcome to Rob. How are you, mate?
I'm really good. Steve, how are you? And how are you, Sid?
Very good, mate. Yourself?
Really good. Sid, I like your T-shirt, and I'm really surprised they've not remade it as in Snowflake 7 nowadays.
Yeah, God, don't ever say that. They do the wonderful audios of anybody, anyone who is a Blake 7 fan, apart from me, Sid and Rob out there. Get yourself on Apple Music or wherever you get your podcasts, because the Blake 7, they did wonderful Big Finish episodes, and some of the cast got back together and do them. And there's one or two episodes where the full cast were more or less back. It's amazing to listen to. If you like something to listen to in the car or sticking on in your living room, well worth a listen. But yeah, they could never remake it. It was superb. I'm constantly listening to podcasts about Blake 7. Some of them I'm re-listening to. But anyway, I digress. What album have you got for us today, Rob?
Today we are going. It was your recommendation, Steve. Previously, I'd done "Hatful of Hollow" by the Smiths. Brilliant album. And I didn't even realise it was a compilation album back then because it wasn't my thing. So you suggested The Queen Is Dead, so that's where we're going with today. Yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from. Production's outstanding on it. Firstly, they were called the Smiths. I think Morrissey believed it would be difficult to categorise them. You know, you have John Smith or Joe Bloggs down the street. So if you call the Smiths, it's an average name. Didn't draw attention as much. So this is their third album. This is on 1986, Rough Trade Records. 1986 for me, personally, it was 1977 for punks. The music I'm in exploded in 86. So it was a great year all around for me. So the cover title is from the novel by Hubert Selby's 1964, Last Exit to Brooklyn. The cover is French actor Alain Delon. So opening track one, it's the first time I've heard it was during the week, Steve. So to me, classic drum fill, the intro is brilliant. I think it's the heaviest I've ever heard the Smiths. It's classic Johnny Marr signature guitar playing. It's just, I wasn't expecting that. It was like a bit of a powerhouse, all round, full band, in your face, brilliant. Then you've got, frankly, Mr. Shankly, brilliant. It's like George Formby-esque style. Great lyrics, a song about Rough Trade Records and sticking the knife into them. There was obviously, I mean, I'm not a big, massive Smiths fan. I don't know the ins and out history, deep diving into them, but there's obviously issues with Morrissey with Rough Trade Records because there's a few references on this album. Then you got track 3, I Know It's Over. This is like a slow, soulful song. It's a bare arrangements, nice texture and bass notes, nice rim shot drumming. Does pick up midway. It's a good song. I think the end really drags on for me. It sort of like loses direction quite a lot for me at the end. It's okay though. Track number 4 is Never Had No, another similar style from the previous song. To me, it's the weakest song on the album. No direction. I don't understand. There's like 2 songs in it. It just, to me, just the album goes flat. It's like a 1-verse song and it seems to drag on again. So there's 2 songs. It's like, oh, where are we going with this? Really strong opening. But then dips. Got track 5, good old 80s, got 10 songs, 5 songs on each side. So we're on to side B, Cemetery Gates. It's brilliant, back on form for me. Again, this is a big kick up the you know what. Really good song, really stunning, sublime guitar, and again, sitting pretty at the back. It's a song about reflection on life. Really nice, really good song. I like it. Then, one of the most popular ones is Big Mouth Strikes Again. I've not heard this since the 80s, top drawer song. Now I'm listening to these that I'm older and hearing it for the first time again. You get a newfound respect and appreciation. This song was written by Johnny Marr. It's a really, really tight song, really, really tight band, full performance on this one. The Boy with a Thorn on His Side, again, another top drawer song for me. Fantastic song about the music industry again, another dig at Rough Trade. Just listen to the lyrics to it, listen to the poetry, you know, how he delivers the songs and lyrics. Great tempo, again, brilliantly delivered by Morrissey. Really, really good song. And you got Vicar in a Tutu, light-hearted, fun rockabilly sort of 50s style song. This one about people accepting people, sort of up tempo, sort of fun tune, really quite light-hearted, decent song. So it's quite a good song. I quite like it. For track number 9, There Is a Light That Never Goes Out. To me, this is a 10 out of 10 for this one. Stunning arrangement, really nice, romantic song, just brilliant. Really, really love the string arrangements in this one. Ending on track 10, Some Girls Are Bigger Than Others. This is an upbeat song, brilliant guitar intro, very melodic, probably the best, I'd say, Johnny Marr's riffs I've heard. So a 10 out of 10 for that. The song to end the album on is absolutely stunning, perfectly produced album. So I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10, Stephen. It is about, I'd say, 40% better than Hatful of Hollow. That really enjoyed listening to it. So you've got to remember as well, I've only listened to this for the first time last week and during the week. So it's new to me. It's not ingrained in me, but it's the production on it's brilliant. There's only 2 songs I found pretty weak, but the rest of it, I mean, the opening song, Queen is Dead, it's bang, in your face. Love it.
Yeah. Brilliant stuff, mate. Great stuff. Sid, you've done an album rank of this on your channel, mate.
Yes, thank you very much for the promotion, folks. And,
Songs from the Attic.
It is, yes. It's a great, great album. It's one of the best albums of the 1980s, without a shadow of a doubt. There's not a bad track on it for me. I love the slow songs, actually. Great, very funny, great lyrics. You know, as Anthony said to Cleopatra, as you opened to create a veil, is just one of my favorite ever lines. It's the peak Smiths for me. It's brilliant. So yeah, go and check it out. I think it's a 45-minute show, and it's got Kirk from Pet Sounds on it. For those people who remember Kirky, he's on it as well. Top lad. Good stuff. Love him.
Okay, what are you bringing to the table this week, Sid? What's your reviews? Yes,
very quickly should we do the album then? Very quickly, I still whiz through this. Robert Cray's Bad Influence. It's a brilliant album from 1983. It's sold over 1 million copies. Shamefully, it's not on any streaming service, which I find remarkable. And that's just basically due to the fact that he was on some sort of weird record label at the time. So you can't get it unless you go out and literally buy the album or the CD. It's a top 10 out of 10 album. Along with Stevie Ray Vaughan at the time and Jeff Healey slightly later, he was sort of at the forefront of the new wave of of blues, American blues. Just absolutely superb playing. There's some top songs on it. Phone Booth, Bad Influence, which was later murdered by Eric Clapton, but that's another story. It's a great blend of sort of blues and soul, which is exactly where he's at. He mixes out Albert King's type of style playing along with Albert Collins. Many people won't know Albert Collins on here, but he was a great player. And he used to use a capo, the thing that you put on your guitar to change the tune on the guitar. And Cray didn't know that, and he learned all the solos by doing all these unusual bends. That's why he's such a unique style of guitar play. He's very, very different. But we saw him just around about this time. We saw him on the Tube. My mate Neil and I went straight. It was either that night or the next night. He was playing at Newcastle University. Went to see him on, and it was just unbelievable. This is his best album. He's got bigger selling albums like Strong Persuader, but this is his best album. It's a top-notch album. Go and give it. If you love a bit of blues, you love a bit of soul, go and check it out. He's like a blues Sam Cooke. That's as good as I can say. Brilliant.
Well, there you go. That's a great recommendation. Could be one for you as well, Rob. I can see you eagerly eyeing that up.
Yeah, my best friend Paul, he runs the Edinburgh Jazz and Blues Club in Edinburgh, so I'm well aware of Robert Cray Brand. Yeah, really, really good.
Yeah.
And
no relation to Ronnie Reggie or Charlie, Rob.
I know. Sid, before I go, a book that I would recommend is Complicated Game, Andy Partridge, XTC.
All right, yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah, right, okay.
Yeah, brilliant.
Right, okay.
We did an XTC show, and I think it gets mentioned on one of them. Yeah, we're massive XTC fans.
Yeah.
This is the book that he brings to the table this week.
Yes.
What is this about, Sid?
Very, very quickly. If you like things like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, it's along those lines. It's a dystopian story where the Nazis have actually won the war. So it's set in the 1950s. Hitler's still alive. The country's run by the likes of Lord Beaverbrook. You've got Powell and Mosley, who are puppets of the Nazis within the book. Which took a lot of criticism, apparently. It's a truly great book, really well written, really slow. So if you love a really slow build up, a real slow burner, this is the one. If you want something with loads of action, don't bother. But if you want something with a real, really meaty story, really well-developed characters, fabulous story, it's just great. What do you want, man? A good story about the Nazis and that, class.
Good stuff. Well, I've got a couple of questions coming in before you go, Rob. Stephen Kennedy says, Rob, one of my favourite albums from the 70s is Buzz Skaggs' Silk Degrees. Have you listened to it? If not, give it a listen.
I will give a listen, and I don't know anything about them, but I'll have a listen, see what someone takes my fancy, and I'm more than happy to do a review on them.
And a big hit in the 70s with Lido, great song.
Yeah.
Robert Cray Band is available on YouTube, thanks, and definitely hoping the Stones get a Brit on Saturday, says Tim. And do you think Panic is sung about Jimmy Savile, says Derek? Possibly with that chorus, very, very possibly.
There's that and Steve Wright as well, apparently, bizarrely.
Wow, there you go. Yeah. You get the facts on here. Rob, as always, thanks for your time, mate. Look forward to seeing you again next week.
But and listen, enjoy your comfortable victory this evening to the 7,000 fans that go down there. Enjoy.
Fingers crossed, mate. Have you got a prediction, Rob?
5-0.
Wow. Okay, good luck.
Okay.
Speak to you soon, mate. Take care.
Cheers now. Cheers, bye-bye.
Good to have Rob on, as always. I've got a question as well for Sid, which has just come in. Well, actually, there's something from Ian first. He says, try telling West Ham fans it's a crummy competition. It's a trophy that gets a monkey off our backs. We shouldn't feel so entitled. That's just with reference.
That's your opinion, Rob. That's absolutely fine. It's just not for me.
Question from Tim. Question for Sid. Which club bands did he follow back in the 80s? I followed Dance Class back in the day. Totally underrated.
What do you mean by club bands? Like the
I don't know. Maybe a social club, do you think?
Oh, social. I was never a social club man. I've never been a social club man.
You might have to embellish on that, Tim.
The bands I did go and watch in the 1980s, and the best band by a country mile in Newcastle for me was the Skywalkers. Just brilliant. They were the first band ever to play the Riverside, and I wrote the little four in the beginning of the Riverside book. She was a bit miffed because she didn't know that the Skywalkers had actually played there, and she'd already written the opening chapter about the first gig.
Brilliant.
The Skywalkers.
Kev says that, Steve, with regards to the poor Arsenal game, we've got to take the positives if possible. We could have scored at least 3 goals. We are still creating chances. Isaac, Miggy, and Gordon. You've got to try and take the positives, Kevin. I'm not saying that at all. Les says, just read the Dubravka as well again. If true, who would you play tonight? I'd still play Karius. You can't just bring the kid in willy nilly for me. I don't think he played badly at all.
No, definitely.
You thought he was man of the match.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I wouldn't change it. So yeah, definitely.
And Tom Dixon says, Sid, would you go for Otterman in the summer window?
Yeah, I've been saying for a while, I think Newcastle will go massive in the summer. Because, and I keep saying it, we've got money from Adidas, about 40 million. We've got the two seller windows that haven't counted. So that's another 50 million. There's 90 million. Then you got the TV money. Okay, if you add all that together, you've got at least 200 million. And we will sell some players. I wouldn't be surprised to see Longstaff go, because if you look at the data that I saw recently, then Willock, and I was surprised actually, Willock and Anderson are almost identical in terms of the data, and they were streets ahead of Sean Longstaff. If that's the case, upgrade. So without a doubt, and I'm horrible. It might be horrible and not sentimental, but you can't be that way. So I would definitely, he'd be gone. I think Miggy would be gone. Wilson will definitely be gone. There's a lot of money you can bring in. And there's a lot of money you can bring in. So I would not be surprised if we spend 300 million in the summer. And if Osimhen, but join the queue, I think will be the phrase.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to get rid of some of the driftwood. I mean, Ryan Fraser's now got a knee injury at Southampton. He's done really well there. He wants to go there. Southampton want to buy him. Just got to hope that knee injury is not too serious.
But so many of them out of contract as well, like Hendrick, of course. Dummett Sound, apparently, according to today online there, he's not getting his contract renewed. Good luck to him. He's been great. And a number of other players won't be getting the contracts renewed. So there's a lot of money to be made there as well, and hopefully renew big contract.
Yeah. I would agree. Madness for me, says Derek in the 80s.
Yeah, great.
Gary says, I'd leave it for the game tonight too, with regards to the goalkeeper. As you see, he didn't do a lot wrong. Tim says, the local band dance class were produced by Mickey Most.
Oh, I didn't know that, Tim. I genuinely didn't know that.
No, so there you go. Stephen says that Rob could be on the mark there. 5-0. We are due to go nap. That's a good old-fashioned Alan Oliver saying, Stephen. United went nap with a 5-0 win. Chicken Oriental with a statement, which I don't think many could disagree with in the last few games.
The phrase, poor.
Yeah. Chicken Oriental's not one for mixing his words. Kevin says, is nobody worried about Amanda's lack of cash investment in the club? She seems to be borrowing quite a bit. Yeah, I mean, I just don't think they have them. Well, they certainly don't have the money the PIF do, and they don't have the money the Rubens do. That they are the poor relation in the three. But I mean, all of this stuff is being borrowed. It'll be paid back, I guess.
Her stake will go down, and she'll make a fair bit of money out of the club. And I've said before, if her stake goes down to nothing, I'd still like to see her as the figurehead at the club or be involved in the day-to-day running. Certainly with the women, at least, because she's done fabulously with it. But also, she's done a really great job with the rest of the club. So, round of applause all around for me.
Yeah, they've done well. They've done well. And like you say, I just think they've been a bit, I think it's been a bit touché turtle by certain people at the club in recent weeks when...
Our younger viewers.
Hello, millennials. It's basically just like, they've gone back into their shell. And I know they've put people in positions. They've put Silverstone in charge, of bringing in the finance. They've brought Eels in charge of the finance. But ultimately, those people aren't coming forward and saying stuff on a regular basis. And I just find that a bit frustrating. I think there's going to be an absolute storm hits the club. If Newcastle get beat tonight, I don't think they will, by the way, but if they get beat tonight and our season is more or less over, despite what everyone's saying, we're chasing 7th place. I genuinely think that there will be, there'll be a reaction from supporters, groups, etc. And I think, that's going to be interesting to see how these people deal with it, because they've never had to deal with it. They've had 2 years of relative joy. Now suddenly, they're going to see what our fan base can be like when results don't go our way. And that's got nothing to do with new supporters, foreign supporters coming in and supporting the club, or newbie sitting in the ground. That's the way we are. We're the same as every other football fan.
Every other club.
Football fans can be fickle.
It annoys me, when they say it, because all fan bases are like that, and all fan bases are not one large homogenous group. We're all separate. We've all got different opinions. We're all little sort of. I might have one view. Somebody else has got a different view. Somebody else has got a different view again, and that's absolutely fine. You pay your money. You get what you get to say, as long within reason. You're allowed to express your viewpoint. We shouldn't all be lumped together as a group. Yep. And I think that's absolutely fine, absolutely valid. I have no problem with it. Even if I disagree, I hear some opinions and I just shake my head with amazement. But, fine, go with it. And I agree. Yeah. I think there will be, if we get beat tonight, there will be hell on. There will be.
Do you think Lewis Hall will start tonight?
No.
Answer, no.
No. Would I start him? Yes. Do I think you start? No. We've gone through it. There's, what more is there to say about Lewis Hall at the moment? It's just an unbeknown situation. I genuinely don't know what the crack is with him. I just feel sorry for the lad. I really do.
Yeah, I think we'll get an answer sooner rather than later about him as well. I do. Somebody asked, what do you think you'd get for Miggy and Longstaff if you sold him in the summer? Chicken Oriental answers 15 million for Miggy and Longstaff. I mean, yeah, I'd say potentially
more for Longstaff. He's English. He's English. I think I was reading the other day. There's some really average players. I mean, much worse than Sean. And Sean could be a really good player on his day. And they were getting 20 million. I would expect 20 million for Sean Longstaff. Miggy, depends where he goes. If he goes to Atlanta, which sounds like he's going to, I think he'll go for 10. I think Wilson will go for 15 to Saudi, is my honest opinion.
Yeah. Okay. Kevin's good. Steve, where have we come from? Actually, the PIF. Sorry, we're okay. Yeah, listen, we are. And I'm not saying we're not, but I'm saying what's going to happen, Kevin, is that a lot of people don't feel like we're okay. A lot of people are unhappy with the ticketing situation. A lot of people are happy with the way things are changing. Corporate takeover of St. James's Park. More of it's going to happen in the new season. More people are going to be displaced. More people won't be able to afford to get in. So it's not necessarily the football side of things, Kevin, although we are showing relegation form at the moment. Not that I think we'll get relegated either. But what I'm trying to say, Kevin, is, there are a few things which will trigger people within our fan base, who've got a tendency to overreact. And we'll see what happens over the course of the next kind of 3 weeks. Tom says there'll be banners tonight if we lose. Tom, I don't think we've got the bedsheet brigade quite yet.
No, I don't think so.
Hall's not fit and he's overweight, says Kevin, but he's not getting a game. He's training every day, I presume. But yeah,
I wish that was that overweight.
Yeah, me too. Derek says Hall might not get played, as it could be how many Premier League games he plays and the transfer fee goes up. Also, we've talked about potentially could be signed as an academy player. There's lots of rumours flying around. We're not getting any answers, and that's the problem. When you don't get answers, it leads to speculation. And Johnny says, I think it's quite interesting. Both Lewis Hall and Tonali seem to be featuring in a lot of the club's videos that they've been releasing. Which, that's not a bad point.
Anderson was in one with Phoenix as well, wasn't he? So yeah.
Tom will go for Neves in the summer. We've got a hell of a transfer list. You, Tom, I wish we had your money. We always get the important questions on here. Sid, how many kick-ups can you do, Sid?
Oh, not many. I used to be quite good at it. I once did over 100. I was chuffed to bits. Oh, blame me. If you asked me now, I'd be doing about 12.
Fantastic. All right. We've got the game tonight. Then Newcastle take on Blackburn Rovers. It is the FA Cup. And the last trophy that we can actually win. It's a fifth round tie. 7:45. Live on BBC One. 7,200 Geordies heading on their way down to Blackburn tonight. Regardless of the ID checks, may or may not take place. People are being urged to get there early tonight. As for Newcastle, well, Willock and Isaac passed their return to the team with flying colours. There's no new injury problems, and there's potential news that Dubravka could be available as well.
Anderson might be available as well, from what I got told, so that'll be interesting.
Seen the rumours about that, yeah, potentially. But at the moment, as far as you know, Anderson, Joe Linton, Pope, Target, Tonali, Wilson, all unavailable for the game tonight. But if Anderson is a step closer, that could be good as well. Don't forget Matt Target as well, not fit to play. 37-year-old Kyle McFadden is eligible to play tonight. We played against him in 2016 when we played Burton Albion and beat Burton Albion. So he's involved tonight in some way, shape or form. Connor O'Riordan misses out as well tonight, though he played for Crewe Alexandra earlier in the same competition. Blackburn got to this stage in the FA Cup with a 5-2 home win over Cambridge and a 4-2 win over Wrexham. Last season, they did get to the last 8 of the competition before losing to Sheffield United. John Dahl Thomason was the manager in the early part of the season. He's now taken over the job at Sweden. And John Eustace will be in the home dugout tonight. Away from the FA Cup, Blackburn have just won once in 13 championship games, and they were held 1-1 at home to Norwich on Saturday ahead of our visit tonight. Jared Gillette is the referee and the man in charge. It's his 3rd game in charge of a Newcastle fixture this season. He took charge of the Carabao Cup exit against Chelsea and the FA Cup win at Fulham. There is no VAR tonight. There is no VAR installed at Ewood Park, so hence no involvement.
He was terrible against Chelsea, by the way.
Yes, he was. He was awful. So let's hope he has a better game tonight. And of course, no replay tonight as well. This game goes to 30 minutes of extra time. And if that doesn't separate the two teams, the dreaded penalty shootout could strike again. So, Sid, decision time. What are you expecting tonight? And give us your prediction at the end of it.
I'd like to see Lascelles start tonight with Byrne at centre-half, Livramento, Kraft on the right, but I don't think he'd do that. I think he'll play Trippier on the right. I'd like to see Gordon up front alongside Isak and Barnes and try and win the game within 50, 60 minutes. And then mass changes is what I would like to see. Don't know how we'll do it. We shall see. I'd like to see Willock come on and get 30 minutes maybe this time round. I think that's what will happen. So we shall see. If he plays the strongest team, and they're so bad, and I expect a rebound from that awful performance, I'm going 5-1.
Okay.
Because we will concede.
I'm going to go 2-1. I don't think it's going to be as clear cut. I hope it is. I hope your prediction's right and mine isn't. But I'm going to go 2-1 and a place in the next round. And the draw, of course, takes place tomorrow night. Kevin says, just ask him to have a look at the toilets on the way up the steps in the Leazes. Gary says, whatever we spend this summer, let's not forget the whole money needs to be deducted from that. Newcastle to win 3-1, says Tom. Red or brown sauce, says Chicken Oriental for you, Sid.
Red on bacon, brown on sausage.
Okay, and assuming Hall is on a 5-year contract, it's only a fifth of the fee, says you know. And Stephen says, challenge to Sid, do 12 keepy uppies, film it and show it next week.
I haven't got a ball.
Yeah, great stuff. Thanks to everybody for
tuning in. I'll do it by the end of the season, though. I'll do that, yeah.
All right, there we go then. And Johnny Green says, I firmly believe that if there shouldn't be any VAR in the Cups, if you can't have it in one of the games, it shouldn't be in the others. Yeah, you don't get any arguments from me on that at all. Maybe they need an Olympic table with scorecards put up for VAR replacement. Yeah, it is crazy. Steve loves the 2-1, says Stephen. Chicky Oriental says 4-0. A Penman tonight, says Tim, which is 3-1. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Great show, mate. Look forward to seeing you again next week. Hopefully, we will be in the next round of the Cup.
Yeah, look forward. Yeah, take care. Thank you very much.
Take care, mate.